What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. Of course, I'm your host, Jimmy Smith, and tonight we are getting into the top 10 matchups for the Eagles and the 49ers come this Sunday, 1 o'clock at the Link. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll be real with you, I'm a little excited. I will be there. If you will be there, please feel free to reach out to me. Love to meet some of you guys, see some of you guys again. It's been a while, so going to be intense. You know that place will be rocking. I will do everything I can, and I probably won't have a voice the next day, and I'm all about it. So let's get into this. But before we do, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk a little bit about the Eagles injury report. I know a lot of people were flustered yesterday. Let's take a look at what it was yesterday. But what people were missing was the fact that a lot of these guys just getting rest. Our coach being smart. That was the offense. Here's the defense. People were losing their minds a little bit. Look, just rest, trying to keep these guys fresh for an 18-week season, 17 games to play. So hoping that we make the playoffs and have more games. You want to keep these guys fresh, especially the veterans or some of these guys with some nagging injuries. But the good news was Davian Taylor and Landon Dickerson were both full participants yesterday. So they're back. Great to see. Got another linebacker, more of a coverage guy. We're going to need him. So glad that he is back. Dickerson, in case anything were to happen, what a great backup he is to have right now. But let's look at the actual injury report today. And this time it's actually the injured players. So we talked about Arcega-Whiteside with that ankle injury, Brandon Brooks with the knee, and then Zach Ertz with his hamstring. And look, these guys were limited, and I'm all about it. I don't think that you got to worry about most of these guys. I think they're all going to play, and that is great news. And then on the defensive side of the ball, not sure what's going to happen with Marcus Epps. What we talk about could probably, bring up Mr. Elijah Riley. So that's a move that could definitely happen. Vontae Maddox still dealing with that groin. And then Rodney McLeod. He has that knee injury, and we hope that he is ready because we're going to need him in this matchup. So a positive because everybody got some limited practice in. It's not like anybody was out. So you're not seeing any day-to-day, week-to-week injuries. That's a plus, ladies and gentlemen. So on the other side of the ball, 49ers have been dealing with some injuries themselves. We talked about the injuries to Jason Verrett and Raheem Mostert. Huge losses for the 49ers, both of those guys ending up on the IR. So they made some corresponding moves yesterday. Mr. Kerryon Johnson, who we all know, he was brought to their practice squad. Not sure if they'll activate him, what happens there, but trying to do what they can. They losing pieces left and right here, ladies and gentlemen. And then with them losing a corner, they added Mr. Dre Kirkpatrick. We talked about a couple weeks ago. They added Josh Norman. He did not play this past Sunday. They will hope that he is ready, but they also added another veteran. So we'll see how that works out for them. But two huge losses, and don't want to ever see anybody get hurt, but it's part of the game, and unfortunately, they're going through it right now. One of their starting linebackers, Dre Greenlaw, today just found out having surgery. He will be out 6 to 8 weeks. So obviously, he will not be playing. He had like an interception last week too. So he was doing all he could. They predominantly play. We talk about in more nickel. They had to last week, but two linebackers more than they do three. And I think that they've still got two really good ones. We'll talk about them here shortly, but big loss for them. So we're just hoping to stay healthy, damn it. We're just hoping to stay healthy. What's going on, my man? Hope you're having yourself a great day. Hope everyone's having a great day out there. And look, if you have any questions, any comments, throw them my way. But we're going through the 10 matchups here to watch in this game. Then I'll be back tomorrow, and we will be doing the roster analysis, the comparison, and then I'll give you guys my score prediction. But that's because Saturday we usually are doing that, but I will be in Philadelphia this Saturday. Will not be able to do that. I'll let you guys know what's happening there on Saturday. Make a little video about that. And then Sunday, I'm going to be at the damn game. So I'm going to try to make as many live videos as I can for you. Oh, my God. I can't wait for this damn game. And, we're the underdog here again, and I'm perfectly fine with that. So let's jump into this top 10 matchups to watch. Philadelphia Eagles, San Francisco 49ers, ladies and gentlemen. And let me know how you're feeling, how you feel about these matchups I have. If there's another matchup you feel, whatever it is, please feel free to leave a comment. If you're watching this later, you can always comment. Always try to get back to you guys. Truly appreciate the support. let's jump into this. Number one up to bat here, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Jalen Hurts versus the 49ers D. We know that Hurts did awesome last week. 264 yards, 3 touchdowns at a 77.1 completion percentage. Now, a lot of short passes, but that's how we talk about, accentuating the skill sets of our players, the little bubble screens, all the things we did, you need to continue doing. So I'm okay with it. A lot of people, blah, 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 the Falcons don't care. Thought he did pretty well. But the 49ers D, a much tougher task. Although with the injuries they sustained, the Lions put on a little comeback, almost came back. And they did end up winning the 49ers, but it was 41-33, giving up 33 points to the Lions. That's pretty surprising. But we talk about those injuries. They gave up 314 passing yards, 3 sacks they did have, though. But they were actually 4 for 15, the Lions, when it came to third down. So they were pretty good there. But the Niners allowed 31 first downs total. So that's pretty rough. And if you're letting Goff, he went 38 for 57, 338 yards, 3 touchdowns, and interception. Jared Goff, man, he's decent, but I'll be real with you. It's not too impressive. So we know that the injuries got to him, but they've still got a great defensive line. We're going to talk about that in a second. But I think Jalen Hurts, once again, at home, first game as the guy, he's going to be feeling the love. I think the momentum's going to be there, but they've got themselves a tough task. I just think Jalen Hurts, this is going to be a game where he gets to prove some of the people still on the fence or some of the people still, just living in denial. I think it's going to be hard after this game when he goes out here and smokes the 49ers. I think he could have over 300 yards. And you ask yourself, well, how could he do that? He didn't even do that against the Falcons. Well, he didn't really have to. So I could see this game maybe being a little more tough for us with their offense. We'll talk about that here. But I think that Jalen Hurts is going to have a damn good game. So I think that's a matchup. Obviously, you want to watch because we know what he did to the Falcons. Let's see what he can do to the 49ers. Now, next up, we know that, the Falcons didn't have the greatest defense, but they had some decent pieces on the defensive line, more specifically interior. Now, this team, they have got themselves some weapons on that defensive line. They are some monsters. So, most importantly, I wanted to point out, I think Nick Bosa does better on the right side. I know they move guys around, Eric Armstead inside on passing downs, things like that. But I think you put Nick Bosa over there, and it's obviously Jordan Mailata with his toughest task here. And Bosa last week had 4 tackles, 1 sack. But as we said, they can move guys around. It could be D Ford, it could be Armstead. I mean, anything could happen. But for me, we just paid Jordan Mailata. Looked great last week, no sacks. So I just think, the offensive line gave up 1 sack last week, and they did really damn good. But you are going to have your hands full here. And I really am going to keep my eye on Jordan Mailata and Nick Bosa. I think that is going to be the key matchup. He needs to be able to contain him. I know that Milada does really well against power guys, but Nick Bosa's got, some quickness, all of it, dude. He's really good. I don't care. He's a D-bag, but he's still really good. So we shall see, how that works out. But this is Jordan Mailata's one of his toughest tasks. And last year he got thrown in the fire. He played the Steelers, played the Ravens. So, I mean, he's had his tough task. Let's not act like he hasn't. But as the guy that just got paid, this is your tough task. This isn't Dante Fowler here, ladies and gentlemen. This is Nick Bosa. So that's going to be a big one for me, and I really can't wait to see it. How about Milada versus whatever poor DB is out there on a screen? Yeah. Holy hell, did he murder that man last week? And we talked about Kelsey's block, too, being very important. 2 great blocks to open up that play for Jalen Reagor. So, yes, we're going to have quite a different game plan to attack the 49ers, and I'm fine with that. I really am. I think, we're going to keep getting into that, how we attack them here, but they've got a pretty good defensive line. But, yeah, I love that, dude. That Jordan Mailata hit was off the chain. So, next up, the way we're going to be able to do all these kind of things is by, once again, trying to establish that run, not allowing ourselves to be one-dimensional. But we know that Boston Scott is not the second guy. We talked about Kenny Gainwell. That's my guy for the offseason. I thought would really be a big part of this offense. I didn't think he would be this big of a part already. But, both of our running backs did pretty well last week. Miles Sanders had 15 carries, 74 yards. That's 4.9 yards per carry. Then he had 4 catches for 39 yards, and that's 9.8 yards per catch. You love to see that, getting the ball, not dropping anything. Let's go. But Kenny Gainwell, man, came in, got 9 rushes, 37 yards, 4.1 yards per carry, and he got that touchdown. Only had 2 catches for 6 yards, and I thought he'd be more in the passing game, but that's how you keep guys on their toe. You don't know if they're running, you don't know if they're passing. So I think it's going to be a much tougher matchup. But hey, we talked about it. One of the biggest keys for the Falcons going into that was they had 2 good linebackers, Deion Jones and Foy Olokun. And I think that you've got 2 better ones here just because Fred Warner, I don't know why it says Walker, must have damn thing changing my, I'll kick your ass. Anyways, Fred Warner and Al-Shaair are there. And Warner, now it's throwing me off, had 7 solo tackles, 4 assisted tackles. And then Al-Shaair had 4 solo tackles and 3 assisted. But they only gave up 116 rushing yards. So they did okay, but this is going to be a tough task for them. But we're going to need to see in the screen game, things like that. I think that we're going to attack them there, and that's going to be something that really pisses me off. It says Walker. What is this, Walker, Texas Ranger? But last week, DeAndre Swift, they could not really run the ball. He had 11 carries, 39 yards. It's only 3.5 yards per carry. But how they attacked him was with their backs catching the ball. Swift had 8 catches for 65 yards, 8.1 yards per catch, and a touchdown. Then Williams had 9 carries for 54 yards. That's pretty good, 6 yards per carry and a touchdown. He'll probably get that rock a little bit more. But he also had 8 catches for 56 yards, and that's 7 yards per catch. So that's how you're probably going to want to attack them. But you want to establish the run first. You can't just be one-dimensional and try to just attack them. You have to get that ground game going, and then it makes Jalen Hurts better. It makes this whole offense run. You have your RPOs, your play actions, all that. So huge game for Sanders and Gainwell coming up. We're going to see definitely. What's that? It pained me to watch how good Nick Bolton played Sunday, but the Eagles. James, why you got to do that to me? Why you got to do that to me? I love Nick Bolton, and I wanted him so badly. Now he's on the Chiefs. Andy Reid, son of a bitch. Yeah. James, I'm feeling you. And yeah, I got you. But dude, yeah. But dude, the linebackers and the whole defense as a whole really cleaned things up after the first half. And I was actually pretty impressed. But they've got themselves a huge task ahead. We're going to talk about that here in a second. But sticking with our offense here, and then we'll get into them here in a minute with their offense. But now we talk about last week, Devontae Smith and Jalen Reagor. Oh my God. And then to start the game, Quez was coming out there. There's 3 catches in a row. And, it looked like he maybe could be a part, but then he never did anything after that, which is fine. But Quez had those 3 catches for 23 yards. That was 7.7 yards per catch. But Devontae, 6 catches, 71 yards, 11.8 yards per catch and a touchdown. Reagor had 6 catches, 49 yards, 8.2 yards per catch and a touchdown. We all know that touchdown where Milada murdered a man. And it was beautiful. I'm going to be real with you. And these receivers, we've talked about it all off season. I think a lot of people are sleeping on what they can be, and I think they're already being put on notice. Now, the 49ers, we have no effing clue who is going to be playing there. They've got Verrett, who we just talked about, is out. They don't know if Emmanuel Mosley is going to be playing. So who are you starting? We talked about yesterday, Kawon Williams, someone in the nickel who's going to be starting, but you have Lenoir out there, and who are the next guys? So a lot of question marks for them, man. That's pretty concerning, but they didn't really let the Lions do much, although we talked about Goff throwing for so much, but the receivers didn't do much. It was the running backs and the tight ends. So we're going to obviously be talking about our tight ends in a second, but we need to be using, some of these other guys. But with their corners hurt now, we might be able to attack them with our receivers, which I definitely think we will. And we have so many weapons that you can attack them anywhere. So wherever they try to shut it down, best of luck to them. Now, the receiver with the top yards was 3 catches, 50 yards, Khalif Raymond. So that's not good. Tyrell Williams got hurt. He had 2 catches for 14 yards. Amon St. Brown had 2 catches for 23 yards. That's not good. So, look, we talk about that injury, though. That changes the entire game. You saw the Lions putting on that comeback there. So we'll see how it plays out, but definitely a positive for us. But that's a big question mark for them because with Reagor, Smith, and Watkins, they could get smoked. Now, we talked about K'Wan Williams is good, but we can put any of those guys in the nickel, and then who's covering the other ones? So best of luck to you there, 49ers. Going to be very intriguing to see what we go with. Who do you like at tonight's game? I think Washington's still going to win without because Heineke was in there last year and did okay. Fitzpatrick's all right, but the Giants, not too much. I'm not big on them, but if they get Saquon rolling, if he's decent enough to get like 20 carries, 15, I think they could definitely win. But that defense is so good. Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas. We'll see. But yeah, I think the Washington team could win. Now, back to the Eagles. We're talking about the weapons here that we have. We talked about the receivers. We talked about how we have to attack them with the running backs. Let's attack them with the tight ends too, because obviously we know we have two of the best, and we have probably one of the best duos in the league. But how are we going to fare? And we talk about, them having Fred Warner, but they're going to have to use Tart and Ward as well, their safeties, to help out. We'll see how they try to attack us exactly. But actually, last week, Hawkinson had 8 catches for 97 yards, 12.1 yards per catch, and a touchdown. So he did pretty well. And we know that Goddard, he did okay. And the couple plays that he had were awesome. But 4 catches, that's what we talk about, spreading the ball around. It might not look great on the stat sheet, but he did what he had to. 4 catches, 42 yards. That's 10.5 yards per catch. And that touchdown, which was beautiful by Hurts and he. Zach Ertz only had 2 catches for 34 yards, but that's 17 yards per catch. Obviously dealt with that hamstring injury. Let's hope that he gets back to health and can provide us something here, because that's where I feel really going to have to attack them. I know we've talked about the corners being hurt, but let's try to attack them in the middle of the field as well. And then you open up those outside things. And I really just feel we've got so many weapons. We can attack any defense. We've talked about this, but now with them having injuries, that is not going to fare well for them. So I really like the matchups we have here. I know they've got a really good defensive line, but I think we have one of the best offensive lines, if not in the NFL. So I'm excited about this still, and I already have my money down, baby. I have the Eagles walking away with this victory. Now, we'll go to their side of the ball a little bit here. Now, first and foremost, it's not for me. We know that, obviously they're going against our defense, but I think they have themselves a little conundrum here, just due to the fact that, Jimmy Garoppolo is doing decent, but he's got this guy behind him, and it seems he's handling it better than Carson Wentz ever did. But, you've got a kid that's pretty damn talented right behind you, and they got him coming in just like Hurts was. So Trey Lance, uber talented, talked about him this offseason, and he came in through his first pass for a 5-yard touchdown, only was in for like 4 snaps, but getting him acclimated. My question is, if Jimmy G starts struggling, do they switch the reins already in week 2? So Jimmy G not only has to face the Eagles defense, but he's got Trey Lance right behind him. He's going to worry about that, get put on his ass, going to give some turnovers. We didn't have any last week. I'd like to see some here. And then maybe he finds himself benched. He did well last week, 17 for 25, 314 yards and a touchdown, but against the Lions. So this Eagles defense, I feel, is better. But we held Matt Ryan. He was 21 for 35, 164 yards, and zero touchdowns, ladies and gentlemen. And I really think, we can get Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not worried about Jimmy G. So I think Trey Lance is right on his ass, and I think that could definitely be something right up there in this game. When he starts struggling, it might be a little different for him. So I'm very, very excited about that matchup between the two quarterbacks. Not saying it's Steve Young and Joe Montana here, ladies and gentlemen, but Trey Lance chomping at them ankles, man. So we'll see what happens. But other than that, we'll go on to a very important matchup. The 49ers offensive line, we talked about the other day, adding Alex Mack. They've got a good offensive line. Trent Williams out there, that's pretty good. But they gave up 3 sacks. We had 3 sacks last week. I think our defensive rotation is one of the best in the league. So I'm beyond excited about this. I couldn't really pinpoint anybody I wanted to. You've got a very tough task for this defensive line. I think this is one of the best offensive lines we're going to face here. So we'll see how Sweat does against Trent Williams. We'll see Graham. I mean, all these guys need to step it up. Cox, Hargrave, they were. Best of luck, whoever you try to double team. We are going to keep that rotation fresh and get after that ass. So looking forward to see our defensive line continue to try to dominate, get after the quarterback. We talked about having 3 sacks last week, and I think, we'll continue that run. although a good offense, Jimmy G gets it out quick, short throws. So we'll see. But a tough task ahead for us, that's for sure. Now moving on to number 8, we have, and look, I was going to put certain guys, linebackers, whatever. The run game is the most important for the 49ers. So this is going to take the entire Eagles defense here, not just the linebackers, not just the line, not the safeties, not the corners, everybody. We cannot come out like we did last week. You cannot have that half-ass tackling. You need to wrap people up, smack somebody in the mouth. If not, you are going to have yourself quite the time. The rookie Elijah Mitchell got thrown into the fire after Raheem Mostert ended up hurt, and Mostert only got a couple runs in. He had 2 for 20, and then he was gone. Elijah Mitchell led the rest of the way. 19 carries, 104 yards, 5.5 yards per carry, and a touchdown. That's pretty good. So I really think that this kid, he's talented. We talked about him during the draft, but it was the Lions, so you take it with a grain of salt. Same thing could be said when they talk about Kenny Gainwell. I think this kid's good, but I think we could definitely shut him down. They only had 124 rushing yards last week against us, the Falcons, that is. And Cordero Patterson was their leading rusher with 54. Mike Davis had 49. So you're looking at Elijah Mitchell, but the question is, last week, a healthy scratch, Trey Sermon out of Ohio State. And we all know a pretty good running back, but how's he going to look in the NFL? Doesn't matter what you did at Ohio State. No one cares. So we're going to have to find out if this kid is the real deal or not. And I think they're going to unleash him on us. So we're going to find out. Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon together. I think these guys, quite a 1-2 punch. And obviously they were going with Mitchell and Mostert, but Mostert got hurt. So maybe you see a little Jermichael Hasty sprinkled in there. Don't know if Kerryon Johnson will get brought up already. But I think that Sermon and Elijah Mitchell is something you have to watch out for. And obviously, Kyle Shanahan is smart and he knows how to establish that run. And that's what he's going to try to do. So we're going to need the entire defense to get their head out of their ass. I don't care if it's 2 rookies. I do not care. Kyle Shanahan's a smart guy. He's going to put these guys in a situation to succeed. So we're going to find out if they can establish that run. But if they do, that's going to be a problem and is going to open things up. And we're going to have to figure out ways to stop their firepower. Most importantly, their tight end, George Kittle, one of the best in the game. Last week, he had 4 catches for 78 yards, 19.5 yards per catch. No touchdowns for him against the Lions. But, they had a receiver that was feasting. We'll talk about him in a second. But the Eagles actually held Kyle Pitts. We all know how talented he is. He only had 4 catches for 31 yards last week, 7.8 yards per catch. So I thought we did really, really well, not just with Pitts, but Ridley. So it's going to take the whole defense again. You're going to need to get pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo, and you're going to need. We talk about which linebacker was going to help last week with Pitts. So is it Davian Taylor's back now, more of a nickel linebacker? Is he going to get some time to cover Kittle? Is Rodney McLeod going to, please God, be back and help us with George Kittle? Kayvon Wallace going to be out there? Are we going to have, a zone where Avonte Maddox, Slay, everybody's passing him off, making sure you keep an eye on this dude? And you're going to have to do everything you possibly can. So those are 2 of the huge ones here, stopping the run game, and then this beast, the blonde Undertaker here, George Kittle. He's got to be shut down, and I don't care if you shut down Pitts. This is a much tougher task. Maybe in the long run, Pitts is better, but right now, George Kittle is a better tight end, and we're going to have our hands full because if they don't throw it to him, they've got some good receivers. Now, Brandon Aiyuk apparently in the doghouse there, which is really surprising. We all know how talented he is, but did absolutely nothing last week. I saw that he was like the lowest snap count out of the receivers. Even Sherfield had a couple catches. Hasty, Sanu had one. But Deebo Samuel, holy hell, 9 catches, 189 yards and a touchdown, 21 yards per catch. I think if you guys have been watching the show, you know how much I loved Deebo Samuel during that year. Really sucks that we did not get him. And I love that Darius Slay compared him to freaking Anquan Bolden. That is exactly who we've been comparing him to. Dude's a beast. Get the ball in his hands and watch him work. We're going to have to see what Darius Slay can do, not only to stay on this dude, but this dude's tough as nails. So we're going to have to shut him down. Maybe they try some end arounds. I don't think he had any rushes last week, but they're going to try to get the ball into his hands. And I can't imagine that you try to keep Aiyuk out of the game plan anymore. I think that dude will be unleashed. So we'll find out there. But Darius Slay only gave up like 2 catches for 14 yards last week. It was a beautiful sight. And we talked about Matt Ryan, only having like 160 yards. So I really think that these corners, they look vastly improved. We held Calvin Ridley 5 catches, 51 yards. Like, man, I was impressed. The way they came out in the second half, I thought was phenomenal. So tough task. We talked about if you could shut down Calvin Ridley, then you shut down the tight end, we can work. We did that. We didn't allow a single touchdown. Now this week, you've got a good run game, got a good tight end, and you've got good receivers. We weren't worried about the run game, even though they started to in the beginning of the game, but you cannot allow any of these things to get rolling, because if so, that's how they're going to attack us. And it's almost the same thing that we have going, but I feel that we have a better defense. So those were my top 10 matchups for the Eagles and the 49ers come this Sunday at the Link, 1:00. And oh my God, I cannot wait to be there. I'm going to lose my mind just trying to wait until then. Going the day before, I'm going to stay at my brother's, going to have a good time there. I got some things to do that day, so going to be fun. I'll keep you guys updated on that. But oh my Lord. So let me know in the comments how you're feeling about those top 10 matchups. You're watching this later. Please feel free to leave your comment below. Let me know whether you're a Niners fan, whether you're somebody else. I mean, it doesn't matter. I get it all, and I love it. I'm always here to talk, whether it's birds, talk some football, you want to talk life, reach out to me. Truly appreciate you guys, but I hope you did enjoy that. If you missed any, please feel free to go back, take a gander. That was my top 10 matchups to watch this Sunday. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hope you're all having a great Thursday night. Gonna enjoy this NFC East matchup. Let's hope for a tie here. Let's go Birds. That's who I root for. But yeah, these guys both suck. They're both 0-1. We sit atop the division. I'm very excited about that, and let's just keep it that way for the rest of the season. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have yourselves a fantastic rest of the night. As I said, if you need anything, please feel free to reach out to me. Tomorrow, we will be doing like we did last week. We're going to do the roster breakdown, looking at both teams' roster and comparing who has the advantage, who has the better quarterbacks, who has the better running backs, wide receivers, so forth like that. We're going to take a look at both the rosters, just feel out this game, then give you guys a little bit of a score prediction, as I know you all love that stuff. I hate doing them because I can never get them right. Although I think I had us to like 38 to like 20. It was something wild last week, but our defense, man, we talked about having bumpy roads in the beginning, and we did, but it was only for a half. Then we never gave up a touchdown. Holy hell. The offense wasn't worried about it, and they look good. Let's just hope that they keep getting better, because just think, these guys are still a new team. So only going up from here, ladies and gentlemen. I feel it. Feel it in my plums. All right, guys. Hope you're having a great night. I'm going to get rolling out. Reach out if you need me. Stay safe out there. And as always, go Birds!